do a little pull. God bless the 4AG. Okay, back here on the MR2, working on the rear suspension of this rallycross project. There's lots of other things to do that are more important than this, but I've decided to first focus on the rear suspension, and why not make a video about it, because that won't slow me down. The original rear suspension of this car, if memory serves, the spring rates, progressive spring rates, something like 150 pound to 205 pound, something like that, somewhere in that region. Perfectly good for you know, street use. For rallycross though, could go with a progressive spring, but they're expensive. So what we're gonna do instead is straight rate springs on a KYB strut, building our own custom perch for 7-inch threaded collars that will accept a 2.5-inch inside diameter spring sourced from circle track type setups. The reason why suspension companies don't sell you coilover springs with such a tall spring on them, especially for this car, is because they don't fit in the spring pocket. And if you make a longer springed coilover, you can't push your knuckle all the way in to be able to make connection. In any case, we're gonna fix that with a big hammer. 200 is the rate, and it just don't move, you know. So the 200 might be a bit too much. I might knock it down to 175, but I got to get it out on the street and test it first before I can say that for sure. This side is just up on the jack stands at the moment because all the associated materials are over at the bench to begin the process of building the second one of these, so I can show you. I didn't want to film the first one because I messed it up a couple of times. Now that I know what I messed up, I can make myself not look like an idiot when I show you how to build it. First, I'd like to introduce you to the componentry of this build out. This here's the strut. We already have a KYB insert, and then the top hats, I don't have anything adjustable. We're just gonna go back with the factory stuff. I put a nice washer in there to cover for the fact that it was kind of wallowed out a little bit, and then got the factory spacers back in as well. After a little bit of discovery that I made when I first got the car, that was done because it did not have the proper spacers in, and you couldn't tighten it down enough, and the previous owners thought you needed to tighten it more, so they found a way to tighten it and then left the vice grip in the spring. So that has all been undone. This honkin' beast, that's a 7-inch threaded collar. When you buy them from Speedway Motors, which is like circle track racing stuff, it comes with the new perch and the new, what do you call this guy? All right, spring holder, spring whatever guy. And that pushes up against the bottom of the top hat. We got 7 inches of threaded collar that slips down over top of the tube, provided that you don't have any things inside that keep it from doing that. So this one is made for a 2-inch exactly inside diameter collar, and this guy is a 60 millimeter, I think. It's bigger is what it is, and this will fit it, but a lot of work has to be done with a carbide burr bit, taking out these lips that are inside of it. There's 2 different lips that are fairly hard to see. We got to use a carbide bit and go over that and take that out of there. I did it to the other one. It took forever. Had to find the right collection and selection of tools. But once you get it, then your collar slides down onto the new perch that will be welded on that come from Techno Toy Tuning that are, well, okay, let's start over. Factory perch gets cut off. Sway bar tab gets cut off. Holes that you make along the way get filled in because there will be holes. Techno Toy Tuning perch welded on 15 millimeters above the brake line bracket. Then the 7-inch collar wallered out, slipped down over the top, hopefully flush on the new perch. You weld it on flat. This dialed on a 200 inch-pound spring at 12 inches, and then our little cone guy, and then this really nice polyurethane bump stop that I've sourced. I think it came from a ZX3. Yeah, you know what? It was there. I saw it on the Amazon. They were cheap, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy those and do whatever I need to do. I had to put a step bit through them to waller them out enough to go over the strut, but hey, you know, you do what you gotta do, and that'll be it. That's the assembly. So it's time to head over to the other bench and start cutting, welding, grinding, and burning, singeing, melting, cutting myself, bleeding, searing flesh. On the bench currently are remnants of several different ongoing projects. Mini bike, foot pegs, and then a little Hot Wheels modification going on over here with this fancy new Dremel-ish tool that Miles got for Christmas. He's making me a slammed Volvo drift wagon. And he's going to use the wheels that came off this EF Civic because I like them so much. On the bottom of the original spring perch, there's welds in 3 different spots. I'm just going to do my best to cut off the perch itself without trying to cut into the tube. I will inevitably cut into the tube, and then I'll have to grind down all those welds flat. Likewise, after that's off, then we're going to cut through X's through each of these weld spots on this sway bar tab, and then use a chisel to pop that guy off of there. Now, if we're lucky, we'll be able to hit this with a hammer. This looks like a hammer, doesn't it? Yep. Sure enough, it was a hammer all along. Got a hanger on. No more. Hang on. Okay. 1 spring perch removed. Now you can see what I mean about all the weld that we got to take off of there, because we need that smooth to be able to slide the collar over. Being a pain. There's just no good way to grab it. Get out of here. Yeah, the big chunking. Yep. Ta-da! Finally. Whoa, it took way too long. Grinding off welds, grinding off welds. I just love to grind off welds. I sing a song about grinding off welds. Because I don't want to get in trouble for having licensed music in my videos, so I sing you a song about grinding off those welds. This is one of the 2 rather time-consuming bits of this process, is making sure that that edge of the weld that used to sit on the old spring perch is completely gone, and I didn't cut through the tube at any points, so I may weld it up a little bit just for structural purposes and then grind it back down. But so far so good, looking pretty good, ready to move on to the next step, which is putting the collar down on, measuring it out, tacking it on, getting it straight, welding it up. Okay, I brought you in tight here to explain that this is the collar. The new perch sold by Techno Toy Tuning. You can see that all my grinding is paid off because, you know, she slides all the way down. I want a 15 millimeter space in between the top of this brake line bracket and the bottom of this guy, because that's what I put on the other strut. So just to keep them even Stevens, 15 millimeters. But, you know, if it's a little bit off, good enough for government work. So I got my old micrometer here. You know, your mic's pretty sharp there, so you can go ahead and take her, set her up against the spot that you want it on, and then you can just, if you know what you're doing, yeah. There we go. I don't know if that's visible. Sure it is. There it is. Nice scribed line there. We're gonna go ahead and drop the perch down on that to right there, and you know, kind of position it just so and give it a tack, and then we'll arrange it accordingly. Give it a tap here and a tap there to make sure it's nice and flat. As flat as it's going to be anyway, so the threaded collar can slide right down onto it. And mark. Gloves, helmet, safety first, kids. Also remember, talking with my hands, nothing that I do is worth copying, you know. If you get some use out of it, that's great, but don't come crying to me if you do things wrong, hurt yourself. I'm only gonna hurt me with this stuff. You hurt you, I hurt me. That's the way that goes. Okay, so I've got the collar here positioned just so on my scribe line, and it's probably not gonna be straight at first tack. Obviously, we're tacking from the bottom side because our spring perch is gonna sit on the top side. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a tackaroony, and then we'll straighten it out after it's tacked. Oh boy, that's not a good sign. Let's try again. Uh-oh. Ampries. I feel like I ain't got them. My bad. Picked the wrong plug. That sounds a lot stronger. Get that positioned on that scribe line there. Flip the old lid. Give her a tackaroo. That should be good enough for us to position this thing. So, hard to tell on camera probably, but that ring's not perfectly level. So you're just gonna take your adjustment device. You got a special tool for this. And you're gonna wanna just adjust a little bit. Looks like that side's high. Oh no, gonna break a weld. If the perch doesn't sit quite right, well, we can always grind down the bottom of the collar and make it sit righter. I've done that before. Okay, I'm gonna call that good enough for who it's for, and we're gonna weld it. I'm gonna turn her upside down like this for the welding. When we do the welding, we're gonna go back and forth, around and round, so we don't actually warp anything. I probably should have cleaned the area around here. I didn't. So, whatever. We're just gonna weld it. It'll be fine. That old epoxy paint will burn off pretty quick. It'll just stink and not have a good weld and be weak, and everything will fall apart. Here, I'm gonna take it over to the wire brush real quick. So we've wire brushed it all off. Hopefully you can see that now, and that'll give us a better weld. Should have done that before I even tack welded it. And now we're gonna set it up here, once again clamp it from the bottom. I'm gonna double check my straightness, because the wire brushing probably, you know, I'm just gonna adjust it for the hell of adjusting it at this point. Like, I think it's fine. Sanding it. I'm gonna keep tacking until I can start filling in, then I'm gonna fill in but still swapping sides so I don't warp anything. Let's do it.
I got that time-lapse music so I don't get sued. This is time-lapse music that won't get me sued. Now it's slow motion music so I don't get sued.
Last little chunk right here. And that's honestly all the more fabrication that's required. for this thing, fabrication. You just gotta weld on that collar. You gotta get to the point where you can weld it on, and then you gotta weld it on. Take off the perch, take off the sway bar bracket, and then weld on your perch. And now, this monster. Zoom in on that. Whoop! A lot of people might choose a mill for this job or something else, I have no idea, but I choose this. It's a burr bit that's not really meant for aluminum, more meant for wood, but it's on my drill. I tried a bunch of stuff for the first one, and nothing really worked great. So this is what I got for this one, and then we just proceed. That's what it looks like. That's all I'm doing. And I'll have to come back with a different bit later to smooth it all down, but this lip and the lip on the other side, they gotta go. I'll see you in about 72 hours. I cannot overstate that you should not do this. You do not have to do this. I chose to get a 7-inch tall threaded collar from Speedway motors, and they are sized inside for USDM cars. You can buy these from Techno Toy Tuning in a 5-inch height. Ground Control, I think, sells the same stuff with a 60mm inside diameter set up for Toyota struts. Do that, but I wanted 7-inch threaded collars, so I got 7-inch threaded collars, by God. In case you're wondering what's happening here, this is me fooling myself, but I'm almost done with this one side. Get out the sandpaper to smooth it down. Smoothing it down is all it takes. Then it'll fit right over that pipe, for sure. It's just gonna go right down on there. There it goes. Yep. Long way to go. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, oh, you know what you need is this tool. Or, you need one of these. Or, you idiot, why don't you just do this? Well, you know what? I don't know any of that you're talking about. So instead, I'm going to use this wrong tool, and I'm going to keep doing it. Oh, yeah! Nope. Got some penetrant lube stuff here. Just gonna hose it down. Keep on banging. There she goes. Look at that. Right down to the next spot that I haven't yet chiseled out properly. And we'll just go ahead and beat that on too. And look at that. It's seated. How about that? Lubrication's the key to life. High school biology teacher taught me that. Dang, I did a good job. It's nice and flat.
This is the dramatic music to show that the job is done, and I'm not gonna get sued because this isn't copyrighted music. Yep.
I want nothing more at the moment than to put this on the car and drive the car around. But they need some paint and cleaned up a little bit, and then we'll get to the minor chassis modification that we have to do in the spring pocket. It's no big deal. It's just a little bit more of this action, this action. You know what? We can throw in one of these, you know. Whatever you can use. That's the name of the game when you're doing chassis work. But first, let's get to painting. And that means that I have to disassemble it, so I'm going to put it right back here.
This is not licensed music. Bum, 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 bum. No. Yeah, right.
Now that the coilovers are all put together, we undertake the heavy task of frame modification. It's over here. This is our tool of choice. But let's go take a closer look at the bashing area. Here you'll see an area of the frame that I've already expertly modified, adjusted, massaged. She don't want to move at all. put your whole body into it. Whew, this is work now. And what we're doing is making it so we can actually get camber out of this thing, negative camber, because the strut, it wants to hit in here because it's not supposed to live anywhere outside of this spring pocket. I wish we could make it all just like that spring pocket, which we could. We just have to cut there, basically cutting out a large piece of the frame and then rebox in some sort of frame. But I don't want to do that. I want to do it the wrong way and then drive my car. It's a rallycross car. It doesn't really matter. Modified SCCA rallycross is like the wild, wild west of car racing in America. You can do whatever the hell you want to your car, with limitations for safety, of course, but even that is, you know, subject to question. We'll see how close it is. I might be able to grind it down. The problem is I just got it to fit before without any negative camber. It just fit in there, and it was, you know, sitting on the one tire. So let's go grab it and plop it in here. Probably end up taking it out again, but you know, that's what you do. Well, this seems to be an issue. Is it too tall overall? I've already had you in here once. Don't do me like this. Don't do me like that. Second Tom Petty song I got in my head today. I don't think I'm physically prepared for this morning. Hey, look at that. That went in easier than it did the first time. But now look how far out we are. So now let's bend them in. And now we're on the wall there with what kind of camber, who knows? Probably none. And will this one even go in? Yeah, that one goes in. That's nice. I don't think it's gonna hit as it slopes away from it, but do we have all the camber yet? I don't think we do. We gotta beat it more, grind it, do something. But let's play with the adjuster and see where it ends up. If I had a business card, I couldn't get it behind there. Here's a broken zip tie on the floor. Okay, it goes behind there. Well, I mean, maybe we do have room. 19 millimeter. Snug them up. This is going to be an A-hole. I think that's as much as I'm going to get. Should I get top hats that are adjustable, there's no way that I could adjust them in. We have to take out more material here. And I don't think hitting it with the hammer is going to do it anymore. But I'm going to hit it with the hammer some more.
Hammer time, it's hammer time. We're gonna hammer it, cause it's hammer time. This is not licensed music, but it's hammer time anyway. But you can't sue me, cause I got no licensed music. In this episode, all I got is me singing about hammer time. Gonna hammer on it, gonna hammer time, gonna hammer on.
I'm calling this one good enough for who it's for. The perch turns, you know, it's not scraping on the wall back there. You know, this is all gonna come apart again and get a coat of undercoating, but for now, I feel like I have some negative camber, not a lot of negative camber, and everything's clearing. I can get the zip tie behind it at least, so check it out. That goes smooth here. I think it's good, but proof will be in the driving test, so we got to get the other one on, which means another half an hour of beating the frame senseless on the other side of the car. Snug them up. Try for max camber again. Max camber. Coming this fall to NBC. I can't tell if I have any negative, zero, positive. It's really hard to tell, you know, with it at full droop. But I think we're kind of at max negative there, so. Max negative. On the run from the law. in the city he was sworn to protect.
This is the time-lapse song, yeah, time is getting lapsed. This is the time-lapse song, and you can stick it in your sack, maybe a satchel or a duffel. This song surely won't ruffle any licensed music feathers, cause it's the time-lapse song. Yeah, it's my time-lapse song. This is the time-lapse song, yeah, time is getting lapsed. All right, we understand how it works.
Well, it's there. I mean, first try. And it seems like we got no contact. I don't have my zip tie anymore, but I got this plastic bag and she slides right behind there. So I'm happy with that. I obviously can't come down anymore with these springs unless I beat out more. I think the 10-inch springs are going to be in order, but I think we'll be able to test drive with these 12-inchers and see what we think. In a world where positivity reigns, Max negative. Let's bring this up as much as we can until we can see the lock guy. Do the same on the other side. Lock that down, tighten everything up, get the wheels back on, go for a drive. I mean, we're there. It's that time. Some call him crooked, but we know he's just Max Camera. Where did I put the thinger? Thinger. T-handle, hex head, this is a 1/8. You just go right into the old lock nut here, spin her in, and tighten her down. And that's it. Should keep it in place. Shouldn't ruin the collar too much. Don't go ham on it, really super tighten it. Ryan told me that he bought these extra long brake lines in case he ever actually went with a longer travel suspension. Well, we're getting there. In order to actually have more droop here, we're gonna have to change some things underneath. But as far as up, I think we have a much better amount of travel now, but we'll see with the spring rate and whatnot. Getting ahead of myself again, but what I know right now is that I'm ready to lock down the top nuts and then put on some wheels and take this thing for a drive.
Here I am putting on wheels, and I'm putting wheels on the car. And you know that you can't sue me because this isn't a real song.
Easy now. Ease her on down. Honestly, it's about stock height. Sitting right here where it's at. Nothing's clunking around, so seems to be good enough. I'm worried. Let me take you into the side, show you what it looks like. Actually, you know what? Let me get it outside, and then we'll show you what it looks like. Battery's on. I mean, honestly, it has a little bit of a rake to it, but I think it's just about near where stock was. This side looks lower. Right at 2 fingers. A little more than 2 fingers. So maybe the tire's low or something. Not enough to matter. Guess we ought to drive it. Hi. I fear that you were in for a shaky ride. You got no forward view, you just got me. Well, again, the car does still move. I kind of like it. It feels nearly like stock, just that higher spring rate from the start. So there's less roll, there's less body roll in the rear right now than there was. Oh, I hope I'm not on the microphone there. Things you don't think about when you're testing a vehicle while also making a video, right? I mean, you know how it goes, you know. There's 2 different problems to solve at any given time. What size socket do you need? and where do you put the camera? All right, a little higher speed here. Oh yeah. No clinks, clanks, bumps, bruises, anything like that. Hi, old person who just pulled out in front of me. I was just cruising down the road at a normal speed, and there you come, just pulling out in front of me. This Cadillac XTS would have absolutely demolished my little 80s MR2 here. We're headed to the roundabouts, specifically the Peanut. I don't know if you know this, but MR2s, the first generation and second generation, have a tendency to snap oversteer. It's not widely known, but it's true. Oh, it's just sliding right now. I mean, I just took a standard corner in third gear at about 35 miles an hour, and it was just sliding around the whole corner. We may have to back off to the 175 springs. These seem pretty stiff. All right, here comes the Peanut. Just rotates in. I would be absolutely lying if I said I was mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. It's ridiculous. But if it's that slidey on the concrete, granted they are bald tires, but if it's that slidey on the concrete, it's going to be real slidey on dirt. So maybe too twitchy. We might have to dial it back a little bit, but I'm willing to run the first event of the year on the 200-pound springs and just see how it is. I think I'm going to go all the way around this one. No, I'm going to get off 3/4. Yep, it's real nice. It's real nice on bald tires on the asphalt. I think it'd be super nice on sticky tires on the asphalt because it's got just the right amount of unstick, you know. Just passed a TRD Camry. I'm sure he was impressed. If he even knew what he was looking at. I think we're good, but now I'm just out for fun, honestly. First 90. Yeah, you just can't lift. If you drive an MR2 already, you know that. You just can't. You just don't lift in the corner. I mean, corner entry rotation. Brake, lift, rotate, drive out. Brake, lift, rotate, drive it out. I wish you could experience what I'm experiencing right now. I love how, you know, I think my buddy Kel said it best. We were riding around in this thing. He said you can feel the center of rotation almost like there's a pole like running through the car and your elbows just sort of attached to it and you just sort of rotate around. I love that feeling. This car does it, the GR86 does it. It's fantastic. We're gonna flip around, go the other way, but I think I am square. I think we're in good shape. The car is handling just fine with these new rear coilovers, and now it's time to think about making fronts. Normally I take my car over by Kel's house when I'm doing a test drive and do a sick burnout, but I think I'll skip it today. Next time though, you better believe it. Gotta love how it sounds. Let's do a little pull. I love it. God bless the 4AG. There we go. I'll just go ahead and, I did that and I did that, and then I chose not to do this, and this definitely isn't happening. So we'll go ahead and call that done. And now all that's left is, you know, absolutely everything. So that's it for this episode. I think the next thing I'm going to tackle is the door glass on the passenger side over here that doesn't close. And then maybe over to the engine is going to be required. I think engine stuff is probably good to do. I want to take off the cross member and do the motor mounts anyway, whether that's just replacing them with factory that have window weld filled in on them, or actually making some polyurethane filled motor mounts. But I think I want all of this stuff done. The motor mounts, the oil change, the exhaust inspection, and then the better intake. I think I want all that done before the first event, which is end of February. We're rounding the corner to the end of January right now. So we got a whole month. I want to get that stuff done. I want to get the Corbeau seat in. I have the slider. I want to swap the wheel over from the steering wheel over from the FX16. I'd love to get a harness bar and a harness and the door cards from Techno Toy Tuning, the metal door cards with the wrinkle finish on it. They look so good. I just want to make the interior, the office has to be a nice place to be. Until then, you can't see it, but there is a mess in this shop. So I'm gonna clean that up now, and I'll see you next time. This is the last song of the video, and you know that it's not licensed music, 'cause I'm singing it myself.